Thanks for joining us. I'm Mitchell Ringos. In addition to all the flooding we saw in Thunder Bay due to the storm last night, a lightning strike from last night's storm at around 1 a.m. caused a structure fire on the 900 block of Community Hall Road. Thunder Bay Fire Rescue responded to the call with 4 pumpers and a command unit. Upon arrival, fire crews encountered very light smoke on the interior of the residential structure, and after making entry, crews confirmed that smoke was present in the basement level of the home. Firefighters quickly extinguished the remnants of charred items in the basement, as well as ventilated the structure to clear it out of smoke. Damage was limited to an outbuilding, the basement of the home, and concentrated to the electrical system. No injuries were reported. Friendly, relaxed, and is what Thunder Bay Tourism is hoping to capture with their new branding launch this month. It marks a new direction for local officials with a more modern approach to attracting visitors. The new campaign stresses Thunder Bay as Canada's premier outdoor city in hopes of marketing it as adventurous and connected to nature. The campaign also features a new color scheme with blue, green, and orange representing air, water, and sun. Tourism manager Paul Pepe believes this new identity will give the city an edge in the very competitive tourism market.
Really sort of repositions the destination in a whole new light with visitors. So they'll see it and, as part of the bigger strategy, see the imagery, see the video, see all the storytelling and content that goes with that, and, kind of entice them, to encourage them to say, to choose Thunder Bay as a destination.
Pepe believes the refreshed marketing will make visitors feel welcomed and will mean a new era of tourism for Thunder Bay. Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Rainy River, Marcus Pulowski, highlighted more than $51 million in combined federal and provincial funding projects for 2 projects to bring high-speed internet access to over 4,000 households in rural Ontario, as well in First Nation communities. The projects highlighted are a part of a larger announcement made on April 19th. Also announced just over $2.3 million in funding to improve access for 234 households in the communities of Barwick and Rainy River. The investment builds on the Government of Canada's progress towards ensuring that 98% of Canadians have access to high-speed internet by 2026 and 100% by 2030. The Sioux Lookout First Nation Health Authority has opened a new office here in Thunder Bay. The organization will be expanding services in the city and using their location here as a hub for workers headed to Northern First Nations. Fort William Chief Peter Collins was in attendance to welcome the organization to their territory. SLIFNA serves 33 First Nations in the Northwest, mostly the fly-in communities. President James Morris says more than 5,000 people, roughly the population of Sioux Lookout, traveled from their communities to Thunder Bay to access health services last year. The new location will help alleviate hiring challenges and allow them to assist people navigating the healthcare system here. Morris says elders needing ongoing care, such as dialysis, are allocated only 4 months of federal support to transition to life in the city.
You can't learn a language in 4 months. They have no collateral. You can't buy a house in 4 months. You can't buy a car in 4 months. You can't do all those things. So some of the people that are going to be in this office are people who are going to be helping these type of people to adjust to the city so they can continue to get dialysis here. The option for these people is if they can't make it in 4 months, they basically have to go home and die. That's it. Because there's no dialysis in their communities.
Sioux Lookout is a small community. They're in a housing crisis. There is no available housing. Sometimes we can recruit professionals like nurses, doctors, OT, PT, physiotherapies, etc. But there is no place for them to stay once they get into Sioux Lookout.
Hemian says positions are filled much more quickly when the roles are based in Thunder Bay, with 33 people already working from the new office and an expected 16 more to be filled soon. Staff based here will be working locally as well as traveling into communities to provide services. After months of hard work and development, the public was given a look inside the Agritech North facility in Dryden this past week before the futuristic farm seals its doors to begin operation. The company's goal is to shake up the agriculture sector in Dryden, as well as create food security in the region through locally grown fruits and vegetables year-round. Adam Riley reports.
For a good 5 months of the year, northwestern Ontario is a barren, snow-covered landmass inhospitable to plants that bear both fruits and vegetables, which makes year-round farming near impossible. But within a few short weeks, Benjamin Fagan and Fabian Velez expect to be planting their first crops at their new facility in Dryden. On Monday, residents were able to get a look at how Agritech North intends to grow its crops. Fagan says he was happy to see the turnout, as after that, the facility will not be open to the public.
There were about 200 people here today. We were constantly doing multiple rounds of overlapping tours between Fabian and myself. And so it was a much more turnout than we expected. So super exciting, and we're really happy to see that much interest.
After the open house, Fagan says the futuristic farm will become a contained environment with rigorous protocols and requirements to enter. Part of keeping strong crop yields involves automation, which is where Kenobi Technologies comes in. CEO Robin Vincent says his systems monitor the farm as a whole through sensors attached to nutrient systems and environmental controls.
And then we apply that sensor data to the automation. So then the automation carries out activities, turning the AC on, turning the dehumidifiers on, but also the dosing. So it's responsible for making sure that the plants have whatever environment that they need.
Velez serves as Agritech North's master grower and explains how some of the produce will grow and be harvested after planting and nurturing in their vertical growing system.
We're going to let it sit for as long as we can for the roots to actually get nice and settled. We're going to have a system in place for the plants to actually grow hold of something, its vines to actually start growing. And then we just pick off the tomato plants, just like you would a regular plant. When it comes to the herbs, like rosemary, thyme, sage, we're just going to cut off what we need and just let it keep growing.
Later that week, area MPP Greg Rickford, who also serves as the chair of the NOHFC, which helped fund Agritech North to the tune of $200,000, was able to tour the facility. He says the farming methods employed by Agritech are not the norm for the region, but he sees big things for the future.
Agritech and our support for them is focused squarely on providing certainty around food supply, food security, and working in full partnership with the Indigenous communities up north. That makes perfect sense given our vast region, and we think that this is just the beginning.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
The football field behind the former Pinewood School in Dryden is looking a little different these days as a new 40-unit seniors housing complex begins to take shape. The project, with an attached price tag of $20 million, has had its foundations laid, and contractors are continuing the build despite the extended winter weather. On Thursday, the big project received a boost from the province through Ontario Services Relief Fund in the amount of $1.6 million. Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford says the complex will level the playing field for seniors looking for housing that suits both their needs and their lifestyles.
This is long overdue. We had more than a decade and a half where this was completely neglected, and our government is committed to making sure that seniors have affordable, accessible housing in their communities.
This is as much about creating housing, it is about improving quality of life for our seniors. What is also unique about this housing program is that it has space for community providers, service providers to come on site to allow seniors to age in place, to have longer in our communities.
Wall says the project will include some green space as it backs onto Pinewood School, the site of a program geared towards Indigenous single mothers, and he's hopeful to see a community within a community emerge. The Moose Hall held the annual Spring Craft Market sale this weekend, put on by Jenny's Events. The popular event hosted around 64 vendors whose tables were spread out around the hall, and the venue was full of residents who were browsing the different tables. There were a wide variety of goods available for people to purchase. Most of the vendors were local crafters, with only 5 being actual businesses. Eat Local Pizza also had a table set up where vendors and shoppers could buy lunch. Event organizer Jennifer Hill says that she's amazed by the creativity of the crafters each year and that there's always something new to see.
We've got so many wonderful vendors that come back year after year, and there's always new ones where you look at their stuff and you're like, man, I didn't even think of this. Like, the creativity in here is just amazing, the different things you find and see.
Thunder Bay's new pet store held their official grand opening ceremony today. Wren's Pet Store celebrated their 40th store open with a ribbon cutting, a draw for pet supplies, and free dog treats. The store features over 8,000 products with aisles of food, treats, and toys for your furry friend. Since the opening a week ago, the store has already been flooded with support from the Thunder Bay community. The event started off with a speech from new manager Gerard Toczynski, who then proceeded to the ribbon cutting. The draw was by the door for customers to have the chance to win toys and treats for both dogs and cats. Free coffee and Persians were available for all customers, and free treats were available for the dogs who stopped by. Toczynski said that he was overwhelmed by the support the city has shown the store in its first week.
Thunder Bay has been an amazing community, and I knew they would be. I am from Thunder Bay, born and raised, so I'm familiar with everything that goes on. It's a great place. Love the interaction, love the people coming in and seeing all the great new faces, pet parents and pets themselves.
Now joined by sports anchor Kurt Black, Game 2 for the Walleye trying to make a big impact.
Yeah, wasn't an ideal Game 1 for the Walleye after such an easy trip in the first round against the North Stars. They were looking to bounce back last night. We'll have the highlights right after the break.
Welcome back. Now, Kurt, it might be, we're in the Cup final, but it's almost a must-win game for the Walleye.
Yeah, very early on. You know, as you just said, Mitch, while it is just Game 2 of the Bill Sounding Cup final Friday night, the Walleye, they were in a precarious situation after dropping Game 1 to the Miners by a final of 3-2, making last night's contest all that more important because the last thing the Fish wanted was to head to Red Lake next week down 2-0. Corey Nordstrom has the highlights.
Game 2 of the SIJHL final had a much better first frame than the opener. 6 minutes into the opening frame, both teams down a man. Red Lake proved why they're up in the series. Miners captain Ryan Howe picks up the puck behind Cam Rivers' net, turns, fires, top corner. You are not stopping that one. Perfect shot. Then, a bouncing backhand dump in gives Austin Madge troubles. RJ Dickey is on the doorstep, poking it past the tender. But the Walleye would stay alive. With just over a minute left in the first, Kersey Reach buries a Logan Gallagher rebound, 2-1 hockey game at the end of one. But the hometown squad's momentum was short-lived. 5 minutes into the second, Howe charges up the wing, cuts across center, Madge gets a piece, but not enough. And the floodgates were open. Next, Jake Parker goes cross ice to Brady Haroon, 4-1 Miners. Only a couple minutes later, an errant play from Cam Rivers D allows Howe to pick up the puck with steam. He beats his man, bobbles the puck, but Treston Moisey cleans up after his captain. Moving to the third, which brought a glimmer of hope for Cam River, Jeremy Dunmore finishing home a Dayton Clark pass, but the Walleye killer Howe would strike again, scoring a beauty on the breakaway. Red Lake takes Game 2, 6-2 final score, heading home for Game 3, a perfect 2-0. Corey Nordstrom, TBT Sports.
And the Walleye will look to get back into the series Monday night in Game 3 in Red Lake. Or else the Fish will find themselves in the same situation the Toronto Raptors found themselves entering Game 4, facing elimination at the hands of Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. But prior to tip-off, the Dinos got some great news regarding their prized rookie. As Scotty Barnes not only cleared to play, but the 4th overall pick also named the NBA's Rookie of the Year, becoming the 3rd Raptor to receive the honor, following in the footsteps of Damon Stoudemire and Vince Carter. Barnes was the only rookie to rank in the top 5 in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, pretty much doing it all for the Dinos in his rookie season, and had a tip-off. The 4th overall pick was presented with his award by Raptors president Masai Ujiri. Raptors crowd going absolutely wild for Barnes, all hoping that he can help the Raps stave off elimination against the Philadelphia 76ers and that man Joel Embiid playing through a thumb injury. And the Raps, they would make the MVP candidate look pretty silly in the first. As Thad Young, he's going to get the ball at the top of the arc. You don't see this much from Thad, but he makes the slick little move, drops Embiid with the fancy footwork, and he ties this game up at 24. Let's take another look at this. You don't see this often, just breaking ankles. Whew, Thad Young, nasty. But in the second, the injury bug, it would rear its head once again. Fred VanVleet dealing with some discomfort in his hip, trying to play through it, but he's clearly laboring out there on the defensive end. But he'll still make you pay if you leave him open. Here he is, faking the shot, getting it to Gary Trent Jr. for the triple as the Raps led by 5 at the break. But that would be the last we saw of Freddie as he would head off with a hip flexor injury. Now flash forward to the 4th quarter. Jersey not doing so well. Toronto holding on without their all-star Pascal Siakam. He's covered, but OG is not. Anunoby extends the Raps lead to double digits, and they would hold on to live another day, winning Game 4, 110-102. Meanwhile, over on the Diamond, it was a historic day in Motown for one of the game's greatest ever sluggers, as Miguel Cabrera's pursuit of hit number 3,000 came to a close.
Right side, there it is! His 3,000th, the 3rd Tiger to ever do it!
It was a lot of pressure, you know. I was like, can't sleep because I say I gotta do it here in Detroit because last year with 500 I do it in Toronto, so be able to do it here in Detroit is like very special for me.
And here's Tim Kirchhin with more on the man known simply as Miggy.
We knew immediately that greatness would come for Miguel Cabrera.
Going back, still going back!
In 2003, in his first major league game, he hit a walk-off home run. He's one of 4 players ever to do that. Now Cabrera has reached another historic milestone, the 33rd player to amass 3,000 hits. He is the 7th player to record 3,000 hits and 500 homers, joining Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Rafael Palmeiro, and Eddie Murray.
Fly ball, right center. 500! Miguel Cabrera has done it!
Cabrera's .310 career batting average is the highest of that group. Cabrera won 4 batting titles, including 3 in a row. He won the American League MVP in 2012 and 2013. In 2012, he became the first player since Carl Yastrzemski in 1967 to win the Triple Crown.
We're talking about one of the all-time great hitters.
In 2003, he joined Ty Cobb as the only players to hit cleanup in a World Series game at age 20, a club that has since been joined by Juan Soto. Cabrera is so gifted, he has been known in batting practice to hit home runs on 5 straight pitches, the first one down the left field line, then left center, center, right center, and then down the right field line. Jim Leland, one of his former managers, said he has never seen anyone do that. Max Scherzer, one of Cabrera's former teammates, calls him, quote, the greatest hitter ever to walk this earth. And now Cabrera has another achievement in his spectacular career, 3,000 hits.
Elsewhere in baseball, Blue Jays in Houston for Game 2 against the Astros, with former Stro George Springer making his first return trip to Houston as a member of the Jays. And after missing last night's game, Springer, he wasn't wasting any time getting back in the spring of things.
Then Springer drives one right center field. He's hit it well, and it's gone! George Springer comes back to Houston and leads off the ball game with a home run for the Blue Jays.
Well, welcome home, George. It's been a long time, all of last season, and then yesterday. And the first time you step into that familiar batter's box, you go yard, and you get the jacket.
Springer's third dinger of the early going put the Jays out in front. It is now a 3-2 game in the 9th. Jays lead. Yeah, Santiago Espinal giving the Jays the lead with his second home run in as many days. Definitely doing well at second base. And while we're on the topic of Toronto teams, Leafs fans, you can be happy Austin Matthews will be back in the lineup tonight against the Panthers.
Lots of good news for Toronto fans and here in Thunder Bay. Not so good as we're heading to weather. Plenty of flooding as we saw a huge storm last night. We'll have all that and more after the break.